Hey guys, what's going on? Alright, I was a little slow getting back to things. Got a bit distracted watching some YouTube videos of news and stuff like that that took place over the weekend. I hadn't really been paying attention. For those of you that don't know, I live like right outside DC. I can be walking around the National Mall in about 12 minutes if I drive there. So it's there was some big hoopla in DC this past weekend, I guess. Hadn't really been following too much about it, but apparently there was some stuff that kind of blew up in the in the news world that I hadn't been paying attention to because I don't have a TV and I don't really watch like the news regularly. So I was just catching up on all of that crazy stuff. I won't comment on it because every time I do, I upset people. So we'll just stick to poker today. All right, so we left off having a pretty good session. We are going to try to get, see, we're at 310 hands right now, so need another 600, which is about 4 hours, which would be 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. So yeah, we should get our 1,000 hands in today, and yeah, we got another few hours to go. Not sure if I'll record for all of it. Not sure I won't. I think I might take tomorrow off. I will. I gotta study, do my study, my hand history reviews, some stuff like that. But I have to do just some like upkeep, like apartment stuff, pay bills, take care of some stuff. So I may, and I'm not going to be around tomorrow evening. I've got some social plans, so I will probably maybe just take the day off from playing and then be right back at it the following night. I'll wait a couple orbits at each of these tables. They're all brand new, so I'll wait a couple orbits, see how it goes before deciding if I want to jump ship on any of them. Hopefully we get some interesting hands. I will say I think it's mildly interesting that, you know, if you review some videos kind of early on in this, when I first got picked up for CFP and I first started sort of trying to integrate some of this stuff, I was like really overwhelmed by, I don't even think I'm dealt into all the tables right now, but I was pretty overwhelmed by having 4 tables going. And there's actually like videos where I'm expressing that. And now that I'm starting to get a lot of the decisions and a lot of the sort of, you know, we'll call it automation stuff sort of down, it's like the decision process doesn't even start till the turn, right? Like the real decision making for the most part, where I have to like kind of stop and think about what's going on, is really kind of coming in at the turn, which may account for some of what I talked about in the previous videos, where I'm having, where I view one of my focus points, identifying what the pre-flop action is and what the line is, because that's really important, right? Like knowing what line you're in, you know, bet, check, call, check raise, whatever it is. It's very important to have an understanding of what the entire line was, because sometimes you can kind of get to the river and have like a medium-sized pot and not realize that the flop was a check raise or that it was a 3-bet pot pre-flop if you don't pay attention, essentially. I don't really love opening ace-5 offsuit from the cutoff, but I think it's something we're supposed to be doing. What is that? Like something smells. I don't know if it's. I poured myself a glass of water, and like something smells kind of sulfury. I don't know. I'm gonna stand up because I want to, but I can't tell if it's coming from like the water or the glass or what. But kind of a weird smell. Got a weird smell thing going on. That ace is the ace plus the heart's like pretty bad, right? Like that pretty much crushes that. I think the way it's been sort of worded that it makes sense to me, the way I like thinking about it, is that a card like that, the ace of heart, it just reduces the number of bluffs our opponent can show up with. Right, like when the ace of heart comes, he no longer has any ace high, and he no longer has any missed heart draws, and that's like kind of it's a large number of combos, and then you add in the fact, right? You would then sort of add in the data point that people typically just aren't bluffing enough on the river, as much as they should, as much as would keep them balanced. And all of a sudden, you've got a pretty easy fold. All right, so for whatever reason, as has been happening occasionally, my table tamer seems to be acting up. Not really getting my bet size. I'm not getting all of my bet sizes anyway. So this looks like it was a kind of, this is a limp and a re-raise. So again, I'm going to treat that kind of like a 3-bet pot, and I'm just going to bet 1/3 with my range. 3-bet, king 4 suited, we can fold. Ace queen is a pretty easy squeeze. So one thing that I could integrate that I don't know, I still don't know how I feel about it. I mean, I could try it and see how it goes, but I could try to integrate like 1 zone table or 2 zone tables and 2 regular tables. The more comfortable I get with sort of the default strategies and the pre-flop ranges and everything else, the more reasonable it is to try and increase my hands per hour. However, the downside is that we lose all of the vision over our opponents, which I think I'm getting pretty good at using exploitatively. This should be a overfolded turn. It's both low, it completes the flush, and it just should generally be overfolded. I don't think I need to bet huge here. I think we'll make it hit 7 so that it's very clear that it's more than half pot. That's more of like just a little psychological thing. So can he call with worse? Does he call with sets here? And then if I check, do I call? He doesn't have very many 6s in his range. This is very similar to a hand that I mean, if he has overpairs, if he has ace 8, if he has 2-pair, like I think he'd have a hard time getting away from this. Although, shoot, you know, it's probably a check. I donked. I just donked the river. I thought about the ranges, and I knew it was a 3-bet pre-flop, right? I knew I made I think a squeeze pre-flop with ace queen. I would have called if you had tanked longer. I could say something like, yeah, this guy is donking. Well, actually, no, he's the pre-flop raiser. That's a bad card. So, I mean, yeah, on this ace, we can usually fold. He's going to check like a lot of his, 8s through aces, and maybe even some aces. So I think we just check and lose here a lot, because it's not like we're folding them off of queens, which is unfortunate. All right, cool. We check and win. That works too. Let's see if this guy responded. And this is obviously, yeah, I was gonna say that sizing looked small. I think king 9 deuce. That's like quasi good for raising. It's like, it's not the best, not the worst. We raised here. Oh, we can just ship this. We get called by any pair, but we also have the ace of diamonds. We can sometimes get called by like ace queen here too, but not that likely. And he calls, so we're pretty much done betting. That queen also connects with his calling range, right? Like 10 jack, blah, 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 all the other stuff. Sucks when he has a 9 here, but I think it's just a check fold on the river. Yep, I think the queen's just a code red. See, he will have like some missed flush draws. He could have like, I don't know, he could have anything. He could have ace jack of spades, ace 10 of spades, all sorts of stuff. But I don't think that makes it a call on the river. I think the queen is a bad enough card that we can just fold. I almost wonder if it's more important to just have, and this is borderline rhetorical, just blind conviction in what you're doing during the session, just to avoid the sort of self-sabotage that can take place if you start like guessing every decision. Like if you just pretend like whatever you're doing is good, and then sort of worry about whether or not that's true after the session, it probably is better, right? Like I've mentioned stuff similar. I've sort of said in the past, like, I'm not really sure, but I'll address it later. I'll review the hand and decide later, like, how to play, and I don't want to get hung up in session on whether or not a play is correct, because it doesn't really do you any good. So I do think there's definitely some truth in at least that latter part about not obsessing over it during the session. But, to take it one step further, I feel like, it might be good to just assume everything you're doing is perfect and that you're a rock star, and then be open to that maybe not being true during your review. That's a thought. And so this is a 3-bet. So he min raised on the small blind, and I'm 3-betting. Good to know. We've got a pretty good barrel card here. Still plenty that, I think there's still hands that will call that are worse. So we should be value betting the turn. I mean, checking behind. Yeah, I don't know. I think value betting's fine. Like, if I was bluffing there, I wouldn't. This is that paradigm. I don't know if that's the right word, but something I was talking about in a video from another session, I think the last session or something, was this concept that put yourself in your own shoes if you were doing the other thing, right? Like, you're usually either value betting or bluffing, right? You're usually kind of doing one of those two things. And in the most simple terms, I understand that there's varying degrees of all those, but put yourself in the shoes of, if you think you were doing the other one, what would your confidence be that, your opponent folds, calls, X, Y, Z. So going back to that other hand where I have king, queen, like, if I'm double barreling, am I expecting to get him off of a 10? Like, no, absolutely not. I never expect a 10 to fold there. So that being said, I should obviously be value betting with king, queen, right? I mean, that follows. So this is pretty connected. This is not, even though, so what happened here? So I guess a check pre-flop counts as like a limp. So I'm guessing this was limped pre-flop and then I ISO raised, right? Or something else weird's going on. But this is the 7-8-9 is not a great check raise board. So what I'll do is pretty much never check raise this board. This checked behind. So now we want to go ahead and bet it. And we'll just keep calling with our draw. And I think when we get a check here, we should be betting. Right? If our opponent checks here, we bet. We just probably would ship. And obviously when they bet, we can fold. Yep. And that just goes back to one of the sort of general rules that I picked up, which is, if you're calling with a draw and the draw is sort of miss on the river and your opponent checks to you when you're in position, you usually want to go ahead and bluff, unless you have like a hand that you think can win at showdown. Where's my hand? Why is my hand not here? Oh, I guess I folded, so it's not showing. But anyway, we know that I had whatever I had, which was like, I think, king high. So, I mean, that might be on the edge, but probably not given that board. We should expect this, like, I wouldn't check back here just because I would expect his defending range to, like, his defending frequency should be really easy on this board. Like queen 10 8, even though it's rainbow, it should be pretty easy to defend a 55-cent bet on that board as the like big blind caller. And I don't see any value in re-raising. Yep. Okay. That's the only value I would ever see in re-raising, is if the worst turn card came. I guess a jack would be worse. That's about it. I mean, keep it in perspective. Like, the only thing that got there is what, Jack 9, which was already there. So never mind, it's not. Or 9 6 6 9 got there. So I mean, yeah, there are straights out here. Yeah, I don't really see too much value in raising. I don't think we get called by worse, right? Like, if we jam over the top there, does Queen 8 or Queen 10 call? Maybe, but kind of tough. Now when he checks, he's certainly capped. So, I mean, 2 pair I would think would like rather bet fold. Again, that's me. That's assumptive. So let's say that, you know, we have a hand that's far too strong to check. He's got enough in his range that'll call. What makes up the majority of his range real quick? I don't know, 1 and maybe 2 pair hands. So, yeah, I don't know, like 560. Does that look good? Does that seem okay? Seems good. Wonder if we should be betting bigger there. This, I think we take down a fair amount, yeah. He had the 1 pair, ace queen. Yeah, I mean, that's what we were targeting. That's what we sized our bet for, and that's what called. So with our previous theory that we're just going to assume we're doing everything perfectly, yeah, that looks pretty perfect. Maybe we can get, you know, a bigger bet called, maybe. So that's sort of the theory, right? Like, in general, with your stronger hands, I guess it's a confidence interval thing, where how frequently do you win there? If we think we win like 95% of the time, if our hand is best 95% of the time, we probably should be sizing our bet up more. So, not that I don't think we played it perfectly, because I do. I'm being facetious. But I am going to add this one because I want to... I think there's actually a pretty big difference in win rate in a situation where I can say, like, I think I win 95% of the time. Am I sizing my bet right? Because if his 1 and 2 pair hands are fairly inelastic, right, as in, like, they call a 560 bet, or they call a 760 bet, or a $9 bet, or, you know, whatever close to pot was, it's actually pretty important to bet that bigger size. What is happening here? I raised, he 3-bet, I 4-bet. Oh, is that the right size? 360? That looks small. This guy's pretty aggressive, so I'll get it all in here with ace king. Where's my little hand history? I gotta find that. View hand history, snipping tool. We'll say that's like 20 minutes in. That was like 3 minutes ago that hand went down. Maybe a little bit longer, but close enough. I know I got a hand I need to bet with. That looks good. If this guy has ace 10, I'm going to be sad, but I shouldn't even say stuff like that. Like, focus in on like one hand. That's probably not a healthy thing to do even. Okay, so this was about, what did I say, 20 minutes in? Okay, fold, 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 fold. Looks good. God, it's so, like, this game is just way more fun when you're winning. I mean, I'll be honest. Like, just so much more satisfaction when you are, like, up on all your tables. It's like a whole nother game. Generals, 28%, Congo, 29%, and Fujikita, 30%. So all three of those could probably do better. So let's go to the worst one, Generals. That is table 4. We've got player 1, might be a mark. Player 6, we don't know yet. Player 5, definitely not. Player 4, definitely not. And player 3, definitely not. So yeah, we can probably just leave. Probably player 6 not either. I mean, he's out of one hand he didn't play it. Now out of 2 he didn't play it, so he's probably not a fish. Like, that's about how long it takes to figure out if somebody's like a horrible fish. This guy checks to us after calling in the blind, so we will bet. God, this is just a horrible table. We are in position, so, right, the general rule is we call. We also have just a ton of equity. I mean, we could just ship here too if we like thought he was folding. I mean, he looks a little aggro, but calling in position's better. That's obviously a pretty good turn. Be it. Twos in position. 8. This guy's kind of deep. 8 to 3, 9 to 3. So 3 to 1. Need like another. It's just. So if we think he's barreling equity or hands he'll call with, we should just get it in now. But since we have the ace of clubs, like, we can't really put him on like a lot of club draws that he's barreling. It's the thing that's a great card, right? Like, that could potentially give him some straights, could give him some 2 pairs, things like that. If he has a set, I think he would have a hard time folding. He also has about a pot size bet left. So if he's bluffing, he'll probably jam. It's going to be fairly hard for him to fold to a raise here. And yeah. I don't think he'll fold 2 pair. Or a set. Works for me. Jack 9 suited. Going to be multi-way out of position. All right, so that guy, although I don't think he really did anything particularly wrong that hand. He could have bet a little smaller on the river, giving himself an opportunity to fold. Because if I raise that river, I'm a set's never good. Not saying I wouldn't maybe call, but I probably just would have either shipped the river or I don't know. It doesn't matter. I mean, it's set versus flush. I wasn't in his shoes, so I wasn't really thinking about the best way to play a set. I was thinking about the best way to play a flush. And I played it perfectly. All right, so we're going to get off of... Wow, that thing dropped even further. Now it's 25%. I also want to get off Congo. That does not look very good. Again, well, that guy left. This guy's pretty bad. I don't know. Congo doesn't look as bad as the original numbers are suggesting. So, we'll see. What else looks weird? Fook. The other question is what's available. And there's actually a bunch of tables available that are, well, I say a bunch. I see 2 right now. They're both looking pretty good, though. I almost feel like player 1 has to be a fish to have sat on this table, right? I just, like, what reg or what player would pick a 24% table? So just based off that, I feel like this player can't be that good. This is a good check raise board. Whoa. Not against double pot. That's, okay. I guess we'll fold. That's one way to avoid getting check raised. So it can't hurt when you're running, like, I mean, semi-godlike. Getting flushes versus sets, flopping straights. We have been hitting hands today. Maybe because we're playing perfectly. Okay, we got off our worst table. Let's go find a good one. Multi-way, 6-3 offsuits, not quite in the button open. Here we go, 42%. It's kind of interesting. A table on a Native American website is called Indians, which I guess Indians is a politically correct term. It's not like called Redskins or anything. Or Wamapoke. Or I'm trying to think of. I grew up in Maine, so like every river in Maine is like named after a Native American tribe. Like, what the heck is, there's like literally a river behind my house where I grew up that was named after Penobscot? That's one, but that's not the one behind my house, I don't think. Maybe it is. I don't know. This is not interesting. This is not an interesting topic for most of my viewers. I'm sorry. All right, Congo. We're going to get off Congo when we get a chance. There's so few decisions for the most part with this sort of like automated strategy. It's really nice. Like, you don't have to think too much about like the simple stuff. And what you discover is that you don't need to think about it too much, because the differences in equity, like this one, like you could argue that, oh, we should check back some king high because we want to balance our check back range. Well, if we don't have a check back range, we don't really need to balance it. So that's a factor. Yeah, I mean, he's pretty, I feel like a 9 calls here and everything else missed. So yeah, I mean, we might as well just bet and hope that he looks us up with a 9 or, I don't know, king 8, king 10. It'd be weird to get raised here. I guess we would just fold. Check call, check raise. All in is pretty strange. I mean, yeah, I said we should raise, and this doesn't look quite like a maniacal player. All we did was go bet, which is a fairly strong range. He could have played a set this way because it's dry. He could play king 9 this way. I mean, I don't really love folding top trips there, but there's not like, it's kind of a weird spot. Like, there's not like a bunch of draws that miss. There's really not a whole lot going on that I don't know. That might be a little tight, but it's probably like, I mean, think about it. Like so the way to sort of clarify this, because if there's like doubt, is be like, all right, well, what would he have to be doing for this to be a call, right? He would have to be going check call, check call with something on a king 9 deuce board. Check call, check raise. So, I mean, we have to put him on some sort of like 6, 8 of diamonds that, you know, called the flop, called the turn, missed, and then turned it into a bluff on the rip. Maybe he like interprets the king as missing us. Is like, oh, now he can't have the king, so I'm going to bluff raise. Like that's possible, but it seems pretty assumptive to get inside of a dude's head like that. What would really suck is if he overvalued trips there. But again, like I think just anything other than us folding, I think means we have to get pretty assumptive about our opponent. And like, again, nothing about his profile suggests that he's like a nut job that's going to take a check call, check raise line as a bluff. So, and then like step 2 would be we could like go into our hand to note, link in the description to sign up if you're interested. Barrel to 8. 8's pretty good for opponent. Whoa. So this is the part where like, if I was running bad, I would be like, man, I'm getting raised. I'm playing bad. Like people are taking me off huge pots. Nope, I'm playing perfectly. And that's all there is to it. This is I raised. We have a button call. So this is a check call. It's not a check raise. We'll never check raise this board. Like no matter what our hand is, I won't check raise. Once he checks, I will bet. Buck 50 looks good. Bet here. Fold there. I need to copy this hand over because I want to just take a look-see. Damn, that guy got a pretty big pot. No, that pot wasn't that big. Oh, it says he wins 45, but that's like including his bet on the river. So that's a little disingenuous of the hand history text. Okay. We'll call this 33 minutes in. I don't know. Maybe it was like more like 5 minutes ago. Say 30 to 30. I mean, it was probably like almost a 2-minute hand. And this is part 2 or 3. And we're on part 3. So this has to be part 3. I don't know if that last one was part 2. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'll have to verify. Because it was 20 minutes in. Okay. Refocus. Check tables. Tables look okay. Pocket 10s look good. Oh, 6 hands. Never mind. 10-3 offsuit's pretty bad. I don't think I need to raise. I guess I bet here. This was a limp pre-flop, so we're gonna make a standard bet. Boom, nailed the 3. Nailed it. King on the turn. I don't know. Seems like a decent barrel card. So I should make a note here. This is just yellow, unknown, right? Check call. Check call. Check raise. All in on river dry board paired on river top card. Yeah, save. We'll call that good for a note for now. Whoa, I sat out. Wow, that doesn't happen too often. Since I got the blinky outlines going, which the way I've been editing the videos, you guys don't see those as much. I think you can still see them between the two tables since I don't cut anything out in between the two tables. I was actually pretty happy when I figured out how to edit that all like fairly simply in Camtasia Studio, so that I can cut out some of the bars to give you guys a little bit more of a widescreen display. Started debating on whether I wanted to raise if he came back over the top. Yeah, like, so again here, like we've got like two pair, and like top pair, and then like maybe some straights. So I feel like he's fairly inelastic on calling and folding. I'm not totally confident that that's correct, but since I'm playing 100% correct in this session, I guess it must be that he's just never folding two pair. He's never folding a set. He's never, top pair, and he then probably just folds. So now we've got a weird thing. So this guy's stats look a little more aggro. I think he could do this with worse flushes. And, I feel like is just a cooler if he actually has the ace high flush. I'm not terribly worried. He could even be like, yeah, I don't know if he was bluffing there or not, or just value betting worse and then realizing he's behind. I guess we call here. This is probably a little light, but I don't know, maybe we can fold. This guy, I think, is this the same guy? I don't know. So, passive player, called pre-flop, went check call, check. Then I bet. Now he's bet. I guess I have to call. It looks like I play this pretty weak. Like I'm trying to put together the line because I was focused on this hand on table 3. I'm trying to figure out what the line was, and it looked like I did a lot of checking. What is going on here? Am I really sitting out this badly? Is this a good table? Do I need to stay here? Nah, I don't need to stay here. Okay, so I played that hand perfectly as well, despite barely knowing what was happening. All right, we're 44 minutes in. We got another 15 minutes on this one. Boom. This table looks pretty sexy. Come on, open seat. Damn it. Ace 10 is going to be a 3-bet from the small blind. good flop for jacks. Nice. Let's do our standard bet range thingy. Looking for tables. So we could jump on Hinkle. Doesn't look that great. I kind of feel like we could wait for a better table. We got this guy on our left, this guy on our right. There's a lot of money at the table, so there's probably some people playing kind of crazy, but ooh, I didn't look at the guy's stack size that opened. I was looking at the other monitor trying to figure out what table to play on. This one looks like it's open again, so I don't know if there's there's a seat. Now this doesn't look like the best seat in the house. We got the two short stacks to our right, the deep stack to our left. So seems pretty mediocre at this point, but we'll see how it develops. Almost up to 500 hands. Not too bad. What the hell happened here? Oh, this guy just sat down. This was small blind, big blind. This is fine to check. It's my default strategy should be to bet, but this particular flop blind versus blind is actually probably a check range. I just don't happen to be playing a check range strategy right now because it's just adding, more elements to the decision tree. So, I mean, at some point I will take the worst flops, Queen 10-10 being among them, and I will check my range instead of betting my range because checking range loses less EV from optimal than betting range. So if you have no idea what I'm talking about, don't worry. You don't need to know what I'm talking about to beat 25 no limit, which is why I'm not even worrying about those things at 25 no limit. So what's going on here? I'm in the big blind. A tight guy is raising. I have king jack off. I'm going to be out of position. Pretty tight fold. And then this guy calls, and I don't think we have any fold equity. And we could actually, the board could be the best hand right now. We could just be playing the board and chopping. That's an actual possibility here. For what, over 4-1? So like 20% of the time. Are we both playing the board 20% of the time? No, I think he's just like thin value betting a king. Or, he could have a small pair or whatever. I don't know. That's assumptive to say he's value betting a king. I just don't know if I want to call with 9 high. Calling to chop is generally bad, but I don't know. Maybe against this guy, it's not too bad. Did we stack this guy or somebody else? I think it was somebody else. I think it was somebody on our right. It's annoying. We played a hand with this guy because I was talking about how aggressive he was, and then I didn't take a note on the hand. But I kind of want to. I'm trying to be better about that. It's also something to do and something to talk about while hands are going. So this never works. But let's see if we can see what hand we played with player 3. So that one. Wait a minute. Is that it? I'm player 2. Yeah, the king eight hand was with him. So we should probably take a note on that hand because players raise folding the river is fairly infrequent. 4-3-8. This is pretty good. This is a good check raise. Table 2. Yeah, let's take a quick note. So the note I can take here is something along the lines. We'll just give him a little purple. I mean, his stats already suggest that he's a bit on the crazy side. And then the fact that he folded river on 6, 9, 10, 4, 5, 3 spades. All right, that's good info to have. Multi-way, second pair, we can fold. Okay, taking notes. Taking notes is key. That's something I need to do more of. Tables all look pretty good. We're still on Congo? I thought we got off that table a while ago. Why are we still here? This player's not really a fish. If we were staying here, it would be for vengeance, and that's not a very good reason. I also don't really think I have no evidence that he like pulled one over on us or anything crazy like that. Not that it should matter at all. From the cutoff, this is never a fold, but 3-bet or call. I guess we'll call. I'm not sure what a good range here is, especially against a guy who's raising 5%. Here, 3-2-10, pretty good check raise board. I don't love the size he's using, so I'm going to actually keep my sizing kind of small. Oops, Jesus, we are running good. I guess, yeah, something like that. I guess something like that. Does he ever fold? Nah. Can't be pleased. Can't be pleased. That is dirty. Ace 10. Yeah, not much you can do there. We kind of, our sizing is kind of goaded, is that the right word? Like, sort of priced him into calling the whole way down. I'm not sure. I don't know if I have any opinions about that hand in any way, other than I think those hands just played themselves. Like, I would be hard pressed to play any differently in his shoes, given how that all went down. Maybe you could find a fold on the river, but not sure. Again, running good is awesome. I don't want to get like cocky with my 3-bets, but I do think King 9 suited is a pretty easy 3-bet against a cutoff open. He should defend really. I mean, planning to need to double barrel this. It's a very easy flop bet with the backdoor straight draw. Sort of an interesting choice. I feel like that is a pretty good strategy to take against me because yeah, I can only do so much, right? Like, because I play perfectly all the time, there's not much opponents can do against me, so shoving really takes a lot of the decision process out. The fact he's doing this in position, right? Like he could just call, play in position, and not have much to worry about, like I'm going to do right here, because I have a flush draw, 3 cards straight in position. Same thing here. Although this is multi-way, it might just be a flop fold. When a guy with this stack is betting this amount, I think we can actually just muck in. It's multi-way. I think we're okay. Hopefully you guys know if you're watching my video and you're on whatever it is, part 3, at the very least, hopefully you have some idea of my personality from the first 2 parts. But when I say that I'm playing perfectly, I'm being a little bit facetious in reference to some of the stuff I said earlier in the video about like if you go back a couple, some of the previous sessions, I was getting like super down on myself, thinking I was playing terrible. Most of the feedback I got from both like just the comments on YouTube and also some comments from my like Coaching for Profit group was that like try not to get so negative on yourself because you're being way too results oriented in the moment, and that's making you like frustrated and play worse and etc., which makes sense. Logical argument and totally good, valid feedback. We've got a backdoor flush draw, we've got position, we've got a pair, we can't fold. Again, in position, we really just want to be calling with flush draws. God, we are running so good. I mean, it just feels fantastic to run this good. It's a backdoor flush draw, so I mean, we really want to go for value. A lot of kings in our opponent's range. I mean, I don't want to size this up too much because I think one pair, like a king, is pretty big part of his range. So we'll go like 790, size it up a tiny bit. I don't know. This might be a little big, but it's fine. Err on the big side, right? He's capped on the river, so we're pressuring a capped range. If I see that hand, like if I see that hand in the replay and he has a king and folded, I'll be pretty upset / impressed. Again, like I think the main data point, right, is on the river. What do the ranges look like? He's capped, and we beat like 99% of his range. So yes, we want to value bet, and I don't know. I guess the fact that we beat 99% of his range maybe suggests that a smaller sizing could be better, but he has to call a lot more. Like he has to call half pot a significantly more frequent amount than the bet size we made. I'm just not sure if that's there. I mean, it's assumptive to say that I know whether or not it's there. I just don't know. And so when I don't know, I just bet bigger, I guess, is my final answer and why I played the hand perfectly. That being said, I'm going to copy that one. And take a look. We'll call that like 57 minutes, somewhere in that ballpark. And I'm going to roll the tape over. This is a donk lead. What happened here? We bet, we called, we raised. We called, we bet. He's going call, check, bet. It's a very odd line. Not sure what that is. Not sure how that line even happened, judging from our actions. Oh, raise call. So what did he min 3-bet pre or something? I don't know. This should be, I wouldn't really mind a check raise here. Not wild about that river. So you're about to see me fold a set. Just want to time down for just a moment. Just real quick. Is somebody ever bluffing on this, right? It's possible. And this is a 91-35. It is possible that he's bluffing here. We're getting 3-1. We only need to be right 25% of the time. Oh God, don't even think about that. If I think about that, I'm going to call. Right, so like, is he ever value betting worse? Like, does he ever value bet ace 10 or ace jack here? He shouldn't. He also, I mean, he could have a straight in a couple different ways. The jack of spades is like the worst card. So like, what it comes down to is his, and if he shows a bluff, that's fine, but he didn't. He showed value, which is perfect. That is a fold right there I never would have made in the past. So this is 25 no limit. That was a $5 bet on the river. Okay, that's a $5 bet on the river. All right, that is, I'm really good at math. Hold on, 5 divided by 0.25. That's 20 big blinds. It's 200 hands of win rate that I just won. I just won that. 200, that's 20 big blinds. That's, I don't know if that happens every 100 hands. Maybe not. That's an exaggeration. Whatever. But you get the idea. Like, that's just a massive amount of win rate difference there by folding to that bet, which is clearly heavily weighted towards hands that beat a set. Okay, good. Now that I'm done bragging about how amazing I am, and I really am being facetious, guys. Go back a couple videos, and you'll see that I'm doing this with purpose. That I think is a good thing to do. So I 3-bet here. I'm going to continue betting. This is going to purely be a copy and paste that is for bragging purposes. Copy and paste, and this is like 62 minutes. All right, I need to change over the tape here. All right, changing over the tape.